Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. Welcome to Diego Knows. I am Diego, and today we're going to talk about some more Sex in the City. What else are we going to talk about here? That's what we always talk about every episode here, right? Okay. Okay, so my name's Diego. I have watched every single episode of Sex and the City. I watched both movies. And I watched that piece of crap show, and just like crap, do not watch it. It sucks. I hate it. But I already reviewed the show. If you want to watch the reviews, already on this channel here. Okay, no, today we're going to talk about the good show, okay? The original show, Sex and the City, which aired in the late 90s and early 2000s, okay? Like I said, I watched every single episode, and I watched it because I was a big fan of the show. I loved it. I thought it was very well written. The only problem I had with the show is I did not like the way the straight men on the show were being represented. To me, they didn't ring true. It didn't seem like this was the way that real men acted, okay? I'm being a straight man myself. This was not the way that we acted, okay? But that's the way that the show presented us to you, okay? The reason for that was this show was written by gay guys, lesbians, and feminists, and they don't know what the fuck a straight guy is. They have an idea of it, but they don't really know what it is, so we didn't really see ourselves being portrayed on the show, okay? Good to go, but I noticed that, and that was the only problem I had. Otherwise, the show was great, okay? I love the characters, I love the writing, I love the storylines. This was all great, top notch, great acting too, okay? But I did not like the way the straight guys being represented, okay? So that's why I created this channel, okay? So that I can tell you a straight man's point of view. I promised you I was going to review all 94 episodes, and that's what I'm going to do, okay? So I'm going to review all the episodes, I'm going to give you a straight man's point of view, and I do not filter myself. Okay, so if you're easily offended, if you get your feelings hurt easily, get the fuck out right now. I will not censor myself for you. I'm going to tell you the honest God truth, okay? And that's a point of view that you never got when you watched this show, okay? I'm not your gay friend, all right? I'm a straight guy, and I'm going to tell you the honest God truth about what's going on this show, okay? What a real guy, what a normal guy, a straight guy would think about the situations and about these women in general. Okay, so I hope you're ready for it. The real question you need to ask yourself is, can you handle it? All right, can you handle it? Because I don't think you can. I don't, but we'll see, right? Okay, we'll see. All right, so where we are right now is we are on season 6. This is the last season of the show. Okay, season 6, episode 14. Okay, yeah, I know. Season 6, episode 14. Almost done, almost done. Okay, the title of this episode is called The Ick Factor. The Ick Factor, okay, because I guess that's the way women write, ick. All right, whatever. Okay, so this episode begins with Steve and Miranda are out there drinking. They're drinking out on a patio, okay, at some restaurant, some pub in New York. Okay, they're just sitting there drinking, looking at the people walking by, and they're outside. Okay, they're drinking beer, and okay. And they see this old Jewish couple walks by them, okay, and this couple's arguing. They're very old, you can tell, and they walk by them and they're arguing with each other about stupid shit, just old Jewish couple arguing, okay, and so Steve goes like, "Oh, that's gonna be us in 30 years," and Miranda's like, "Don't say that," she's like, "Oh, I'm kidding." That could never be us. That could never be us. I'm too in love with you, Miranda. You're the most beautiful, wonderful bitch in the whole fucking world. Yeah, right. Okay. And she says, "That was us, Steve. Remember? Okay, back when they were fighting. Okay, see, whenever they got together, they were always fighting. Okay, they're always fighting about this, fighting about that. Okay, the reason they always fought was because Miranda never really respected him. Okay, she always treated him like shit. He was never good enough for her. He didn't make enough money. He was too fucking stupid. He was bad with with his finances. He was immature. He was watching cartoons and eating cereal, even though he was in his 30s. At the time he was a bartender, but the fact that he didn't own a bar." That lowered her opinion of him. He should have his own place. He shouldn't be working for anybody. That kind of thing. So that lowered her opinion of him. Okay, so he was never good enough. Okay, and then he lost a testicle. Yeah, he had cancer. So he had to get a testicle removed. So she slept with him because she felt sorry for him, and guess what? She got pregnant. She decided to keep the baby. So he's been in and out of her life, but they recently got back together. They both dumped their partners, their boyfriends and girlfriends, and they moved in together because they already have a kid together, right? So I guess she realized she's really in love with him. The only reason she was in love with him is because she got older and fatter. No guy really wanted her. And don't give me that bullshit about Robert Leeds wanting her. He did not want her. Okay, that was some bullshit written by the creators of the show. That's not realistic. Okay, and a guy like him would never want a woman like that. Okay, but that's what the show gave you, so just go with it, right? Okay, well, she decided to stay Steve. I think the reason that Steve is still in her life, it's not because he's the father of her child. Okay, I think the honest to God, I think the real reason that Steve is in her life again, they got back together, was because he was a fan favorite. I mean, I'm sure they got a lot of letters from fans. I'm sure back then they did. They actually cared about what the fans thought. Okay, and they would cater the show towards what the fans wanted. That's the way things were back then. I know, weird, huh? They give you what you want. Back then they did anyway. And so I think that the show was a big hit. HBO was paying attention. It was one of the highest rated shows they had. That and Sopranos were like the two number one shows in the world at the time. You got to remember, this is back when those TV shows on cable, adult TV shows on cable. I mean, we're talking about like TV shows that had nudity and swear words in them. Okay, this was a new thing back then. Okay, HBO was blazing the trail. This is before Netflix. Okay, HBO was blazing the trail on these new TV shows that you could watch every week that actually had a nudity in there and had cursing in there. Okay, you get that in movies, but you didn't see that every week on a TV show. This was a new thing. And Sopranos kind of led the charge, and Sex and the City came right after that. Something for the guys and something for the girls, all right? And I think that Steve's character, played by David Eisenberg, I think his name is, yeah, I think he was just a fan favorite. People just liked him. I mean, he's a very likable guy. I mean, the way he played the character was very likable. He put up with Miranda's shit. He acted like a beta male, but every once in a while, he actually stood up for himself. And that's why I respected Steve, because he actually stood up for himself every once in a while, not very often. And he didn't stand up very tall, okay? But every once in a while, he put Miranda in her place. And that's what I liked about him, because Miranda was so used to bossing everybody around her, that for someone to stand up to her, a man to stand up to her, like no one ever did that on the show, but he did, So I respected him for that, okay? She could push him around, but he had his limits. He had a tolerance level, okay? And that's why I respected him back then. I don't respect him too much now, but we'll get to that later. Okay, so that's what's going on here. Okay, so they're talking about what they don't want. So they start taking turns about what they don't want. She's like, so far the future, I don't want to become that. Okay, so for the future, I don't want to become that. I don't want to be that old couple that's arguing with each other. Okay. She says, I don't want you to worry. He says, I don't want you to worry about becoming that. She's like, okay, what else? I don't want you to keep paying for these beers. Because she makes a lot more money than he. I mean, he owns his own bar, but I don't know how much money he's making off of that. I'm sure he owes a lot of money, the loan and all that, and so I don't know how much he's making from that. But he owns his own pub in Manhattan, so he can't be that bad off. Okay, but I think Miranda, with her Harvard education, working for a big corporation, big attorney corporation partnership, yeah, I think she's making a lot more money than he is. Okay, so he's like, I don't want you to keep paying for these beers. She's like, no, I'm serious. Your turn. So she says, okay, I don't want to become your mother. Touche. He's like, good one. He's like, I don't want to slack off like I used to. Like I said, he was immature before, so he realized that about himself, okay, that he will kind of he wouldn't take things too seriously. Like I said, his finances, I don't think he even owned a credit card or much less had a checking account. Well, I think he did have a checking account, but he had no credit or anything. He had no savings. He had no IRA accounts. No mutual funds, nothing like that. He had nothing like that going on. Okay, so he wasn't planning for the future. Okay, so he doesn't want to be like that again. Okay, and she says I don't want to be. She tells him I don't want to be so moody. Holy shit! Well, that ain't gonna happen. Okay. In fact, all these things that they're talking about right now, it sucks because I know the future. I know what's going to happen 18 years from now or 19 years from now, and it's all going to get blown up as if it never even should have happened. Honestly, it's going to get shot to shit. All this, all things that they're talking about right now, I know how it ends. Okay, it ends in the future, and it's going to be all bullshit. It really is. That's what bothers me so much. Is they went through so much work, so much hard work to get these two together. Only for it to end the way it did in 2021, and it's in such a bullshit way. I mean, I know Miranda was a bitch, but god damn it, I didn't think she was heartless, and she's fucking heartless now. So anyway, I always thought she had a heart back then, during these episodes, and now I see that she doesn't. She don't give a fuck about anyone but herself. Okay, and that's the truth. That sounds good. They're pretending they care about other people. They really don't. Okay, so she's like, I don't want to slack off like I did. Okay, that's and he tells her, she's like, okay, your turn. So he says, well, I don't want to lose you again. And she says, well, I don't want to lose you again either. That kind of mushy bullshit, okay? He's like, all that other stuff, it doesn't matter. That's the one thing I don't want to screw up again. I don't want to lose you. Okay? And she says, I don't want to lose you either. Yeah, right. Okay? And then Miranda says, will you marry me? And he's like, what? You serious? Yeah, I'm serious. Well, yeah, sure. Just like that. They got married. They're getting married now. Yep, that's how it went. Just like wasn't planned. No ring. No one got on their knee. None of that shit. You know, it just hey, you want hey she asked him to marry him. She asked him to marry her. He says, yeah, sure, okay. Like it's just something like they agreed to go to a baseball game or something, you know? Just crap. But anyway, that's what happens, okay? And so Carrie narrates that, you know, some people have to say their I don'ts before they say their I do's. Okay, all right. Meanwhile, Carrie is with Alex Petrovsky, the Russian ballet dancer. Well, he's not a ballet. He's a ballet dancer in real life, but he's too old for that now. He's like in his 50s now. So now he's on this show. He's like this famous Russian artist, okay, who fucked every supermodel in the 1970s at Studio 54. All right, so she's at his place. Okay, yes, they're dating each other now. You know, she put her standards on him, and I guess he accepted them. But the fact that he would date Carrie kind of bothers me. I mean, I know he's in his 50s, but Carrie is like is 40 years old. Okay, am I being generous? Okay, is she like 38, 39? Okay, when the show started in season 1, she was 34, and now we're in season 6, and they haven't said her age, but she's acting like she's in her 30s. I'm guessing she's 40, because that would be her real age, because now it's 2004, it's not 1998 anymore. But so yeah, I'm guessing she's 40 years old. He's 53, that's already been established, his age. So I think that, yeah, I don't think that he would be dating her. Okay, but you know, she puts her standards on him. Like he wasn't giving her enough attention, so he agreed to do that to give her more attention now. I mean, come on. This show is such bullshit. I say this every episode. I'm going to say it again real quickly here. Okay, the men on this show, okay, these women, these middle-aged women, okay, they're dating all these different guys, okay? They're never dating normal guys. They're never dating the guy that works at the coffee shop. They're never dating the guy that works at the supermarket, okay? They're never dating the guy that fucking changes your oil in your car, okay? They're never dating the millions and millions and billions of people with their ordinary everyday lives, okay? They're never dating guys like that. The only guys that ever hit on them on the show are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, corporate attorneys, famous Russian artists, you know, nightclub owners, okay, I mean, hotel executives, okay, millionaire Wall Street brokers, you know, and traders, you know, millionaire surgeons. Okay, guys that own their own furniture stores. You know, I mean that's the guys that these women date. Okay, they never date just some fucking ordinary guy. Okay, these are all like the top level men in New York. Okay, these are the men that all the women are fighting for. But yet on this show, you know, Carrie will just walk down the street and bump into somebody, and it turns out he's like, you know, corporate. He's like, he works for Jeff Bezos. You know, and he's like, hey, how would you like to go out to dinner? You know, like bullshit like that. That's just what fucking happens. She's like, okay, maybe. You know, that kind of bullshit. Get the fuck out of here with that crap, all right? You know who's going to hit on these women? You know who's gonna, okay, the guy that fucking takes out their garbage. Okay, the garbage man's the one that's going to hit on fucking Carrie and Samantha, okay? Not these fuckers, okay? It's not realistic. These are like their only dating options are these super high level men. Get the fuck out of here. They never get hit on by a normal person. Never. You know, it's always the taxi cab drivers don't even hit on them. I mean, this is like bullshit. They never go to a bar and meet some guy and then find out that he's like works at a deli. You know, I mean, that never happens. They bump into a guy and turns out he's a composer for motion pictures. I mean, what the fuck? Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, just go with it, right? Just go with it, yeah. And those guys do exist. Of course, there's such a small percentage of the population that they're not the ones that are going to be hitting on middle-aged women. Middle-aged, hoary, slutty women, alcoholic women. No, these are not. Okay, ladies, okay, men like that, men like the men that you see on the show, they're going to vet their partners, okay? Most of them will vet. If they're successful, that means they've got brains. That means they worked their way up there. They're not stupid, okay? They're going to vet their partners. If they're serious about someone, I'm not talking about the girls that just want to fuck, you know, pump and dump. No, because realistically, that's what these women would be. Okay, they'd be pump and dumps for guys like this. Okay, but this show wants you to think that, no, guys like this are all falling in love with them every fucking week, right? Okay, so if you go with that idea, then you have to realize that these guys are going to vet their partners. Yes, I know a lot of guys get fucked up in marriage, okay? But it's not because they didn't vet their partners. They picked their best option that they had. Okay, there was a lot of bad options. They picked the best one they had, and it didn't work out. But it wasn't because of a lack of trying. It wasn't because they weren't trying to get the right girl for themselves. Okay, it's just because they got one that wasn't good enough. Okay, that's the problem. Okay, that's the problem that these guys have. Okay, all guys have, honestly. Okay, so if you got a guy who's a super high value guy, let's say he's an architect in New York, in Manhattan. He's designed several buildings in Manhattan. Okay, all of a sudden he bumps into Carrie at a coffee shop. He asks her out. Okay, and she starts doing the whole, does he like me? Will he call me back? Bullshit, right? That happens every fucking episode. Okay, a guy like that is gonna vet Carrie. Like, okay, is she my best option? If I wanted to fall in love with this girl, is she my best option? Probably not. She's too old. She doesn't want to have kids. Okay, I mean, she's very neurotic. Okay, she dresses like a fucking clown. She cares more about her girlfriends than she does about me. So what do I see this? It's not going to go anywhere. So it's going to be a pump and dump. He's going to move on to a woman that actually, wants the things that he wants. Okay, that wants to go on that journey with him. Carrie's not one of those girls. She doesn't know what the fuck she wants. Okay, she's a woman who got her back pounded out in the 80s and 90s, and now she's looking for somebody to fucking, to put a ring on it. Okay, and her options are limited, realistically. But on the show, she's got nothing but options. I mean, nothing but high value men want her, and that's just a load of crap. That's a fantasy that the show is feeding you. And women, you got to understand this. Okay, this is bullshit. Okay, guys like that, like on the show, are not going to go for like Carrie or Samantha or Miranda or Charlotte even. They're going to be pumping dumps. The only guys that really are going to fall in love with like a Samantha or a Charlotte are the ones that are going to be using them. Okay, using them are going to be low value men. Okay, that want them to up their value. Okay, not the other way around. You see, these women all want men that are above them. Okay, but realistically, the only guys that would date these women, because they are middle aged now, okay, and they don't look like they did in their 20s, are going to be guys that are lower than them trying to bump up their own value. Okay, see what I mean? Okay, so moving right along. So that's going on here. Carrie watches Alex, okay, and they're playing the piano. He's playing a piano. He wrote a song for her. How sweet is that? He wrote her a song. And he's playing the piano. I guess he wrote it right on the spot. Okay, and he tells her, and she's just like kind of nervous about it. Like, oh my God, no guy's ever written her a song, and he plays it for her. He's like, it's about the woman with luminous, shining, and sparkling eyes. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, he's playing this for her, and then has a bowl of strawberries with whipped cream, and he just and feeds her. Okay, even I this was corny as fuck to me. Okay, Alex Petrovsky is acting like an eccentric. Okay, he's acting like one of those artsy fartsy guys, like I told you about, because that's what he is. He's an artsy fartsy guy. All right, trying to do romance. Okay, like it was like it was back in the Victorian era. That's what they mention here. Okay, this was like back in the Victorian era. Romance. You bring the flowers. You write her a song. You write her a poem. Now he leaves those stupid ass fucking little RSVP notes on the bed for her. I'm making you breakfast with a little smiley, or a European smiley face on there. And this is a load of bullshit. Okay. Are there guys that do this? Unfortunately, yes, there are guys that do this. Okay, these are guys that do not know what women like. Okay, what modern day women like. Okay, all they remember about what women like is the shit they saw in the old movies. Okay, that's even when they remake movies like from like the Middle Ages and shit like today. Okay, you never see the guys do that shit. Okay, because they know that a modern audience would not be attracted to that. Okay, so they have to cater the movie, even though it's historical. They have to cater the movie to modern audiences. Okay, what's going to turn on a woman today in 2022? Okay, that's what I got to put in the movie. Okay, not fucking. I mean. I'm sure in the 1300s, if a guy fucking brought a girl a fucking dead rabbit with a flower on it, I'm sure she got wet as fuck back in the 1300s. But back then, they didn't even have soap, and they sure as fuck didn't shave their legs. Okay, so they weren't that pretty. Okay, I'm sure that's what got them off back then. But nowadays, it ain't like that. Okay, these whole ideas of romance and shit, that's all from the Middle Ages. Okay, that's all from the 1300s, the Renaissance. Okay, that shit doesn't really apply too much today. I mean, it's funny to make fun of it and all that. that. But the things, the phrases and stuff that men do today in the modern era that turn women on are not the same as it was done back then. Okay, they don't write them songs anymore. They don't write. Okay, they did that shit back in the day because they didn't have telephones. Okay, a lot of the guys were off at war. A lot of the nights that they had to keep in touch with their wives or the women they wanted to marry if they survived. They would write them stories. They would write them letters. Okay, and send them back. Okay, and the women would receive these letters, and there'd be a contest amongst all the other maidens, like who had the best letters. Well, guys figured out the ones that had the poetry in there; those were the best letters. So it was a competition amongst the women who got the best letters, who got the most sensual letters, the most creative letters. That's where romance was born from the Middle Ages. Okay, so that shit doesn't apply today. No one really does that anymore. Whenever you think about look at Patty Boyd. Okay, do y'all know what Patty Boyd is? Okay, Patty Boyd was she was married to George Harrison from the Beatles, okay? And she left George Harrison because she had been fucking Eric Clapton, who was George Harrison's best friend, behind his back, okay? And it turns out that there was actually several musicians, I can't remember all of them, like that song Layla I just said it, Eric Clapton wrote Layla. He wrote that for her. George Harrison wrote several songs for her. Okay, okay, a lot of musicians wrote songs for her, and she just fucked a lot of musicians. Okay, but the only one I remember right now is Eric Clapton. Like she left George Harrison for Eric Clapton. Okay, and a lot of songs were written for her. Okay, so she knew how to get guys to be creative for her. Okay, who wrote me the better song? That's the one I'm gonna fuck. So that's how they played it off back then. Okay, that's kind of how it works today. Okay, who's got the better swag? Who's got the better, BBD? Okay, as they called it in the '80s, BBD, bigger, better deal. Who's got the best vernacular? Who's got the best way of talking to women? Who's got the best swag? Yeah, that's what it is today. Okay, writing a song for a girl or writing her a poem today would just get you laughed at. Okay, I don't think Alex Petrovsky understands this. I think the only reason he gets away with it is because he's such a high value man. He's such a rich, famous, successful Russian artist. Okay, that the women that he fucks, those models, they don't give a shit. Okay, they'll pretend if he's watching fucking cartoons, they will watch it with him. They'll pretend to enjoy it too, just so they can be with him. And he's so used to that he knows that this guy can fart on a girl and she'll ask for more. And she'll ask her girlfriends to come in here and ask for more. Okay, because of who he is, not because of what he does. Okay, Carrie's not like that. Carrie's like, this is stupid. I'm sure this works on the 23-year-olds that you bring up here that you fuck. They've never met a guy like you before. So anything you do will turn them on. But this is stupid. Like a song, a poem, reading me a poem. That's stupid. It's stupid. It doesn't turn me on. It's corny. It's phony. You look to me, you're acting like a guy who thinks this is a successful way to seduce women, and he's gonna try to seduce me this way. And no, it ain't gonna fucking work. It's bullshit. Okay? So at least Carrie can see that. I mean, I can see that too. But he's so used to being with women that'll just go with whatever he does because they want his attention so much. He doesn't realize this is what he's doing. He's actually coming across as a man with low sexual market value instead of a man with high sexual market value. Okay? Do you really think Justin Bieber had to write a poem to get a supermodel to fuck him? No, he did not. Okay? Do you think he had to write a song for her to get her to go out with him on a date? No, he did not. Okay? No, he did not. Okay? All right? He had no problem getting those things. All right? So yes, that's going on. So of course Carrie tells the girls about it at brunch or whatever, and Miranda's like, that's the cheesiest thing I ever heard of. And Carrie's like, I'm so embarrassed I couldn't even look at him. And Charlotte's like, well, it's very 18th century, Russian. It's, it's very romantic. And Carrie's like, yeah, but I live in New York right now. Okay. Being offered a seat on the subway to me is romantic. And Miranda's like, yes, it is. Yes, it is, Carrie. Because of course she's always fucking stuffing her fat ass every time she talks. Okay. And Charlotte is like, we are starved for real romance. And that is the sad truth. Okay, Charlotte, no one, even the guys that want to be romantic, okay, the guys with a high sexual market value that want to play with romance, like the guys that leave flower petals for you when you get home, that lead towards the bathtub, in the candle, okay, that kind of shit, that kind of bullshit, okay, they don't want to do that with sluts, okay, guys do not want to romance sluts. Only men with a very low sexual market value want to romance a slut, okay, a whore. Okay, why should a guy go through so much hard work to win a woman's affection when she's already given it away to a lot of other guys that didn't do anywhere near that the kind of hard work that you did? Okay, there's no joy in that. There's no conquering in that. There's nothing in there for a guy to feel good about himself. Okay, why would I bake this woman a huge meal? Spend hours cooking her this wonderful dinner. Okay, when there's like 700 guys that didn't have to do any of that shit that fucked her like within 5 minutes of meeting her. That fucking rode the train on her in the fucking in the backstage of the concert. Like, this is not a girl I want to bake a meal for, and most guys don't want to do that either. Okay, they don't want to be with a girl like that. You can have fun with a girl like that, but you cannot put a ring on a girl like that. And most guys that have a sense of self-worth know that, and they're not going to do it. Okay, they're not going to do it. They might tell the girl that just to get a quick lay, but they don't mean it, and they're not going to stay with that girl. I'm sorry, straight man's point of view. This is honest God truth, ladies. I'm sorry. It's the truth. It's the truth. Okay. So Carrie's like, yeah, it's not romantic, whatever. Okay, and that's true. No one wants to romance a whore. Okay. Samantha is like, I'm not starved. I'm not starved for romance. Smith is in LA right now for a couple of weeks, and every night he calls me. And Carrie's like, we're not talking about phone sex. That doesn't count. Okay. There is one more thing Alex did. Okay, but it will be the ick of the world if I tell you. So of course that means she's gonna tell them. All right. She's like, that song he wrote for me? Okay, it had a name. Okay, it's called. And she says it in French, and Charlotte translated it as "the woman with eyes that sparkle." The woman with eyes that sparkle. Oh, good dude. No, man. You grew up watching way too many Disney movies. I'm sorry you did. Okay. She's like, I swear to God, I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. And I was looking down on myself, and I was just like, come on! Charlotte, he was being expressive. Genuine emotion in an old-fashioned way. That's all he was doing. Miranda's like, it's not emotion, it's artificial. Hoo-ha! That's why I proposed to Steve over $3 beers. And they're all like, huh? Dead silence. Like, you proposed? You mean like in marriage? And Miranda's like, it's no big deal. No engagement, no bridesmaids, no white dresses, or posed pictures. I'm not going to have any of that shit. And Charlotte's like, well, it's your choice to find your own style. And Samantha's like, well, when's it going to happen? Miranda's like, when I find a place that doesn't fucking make me want to fucking hurl. I just want something simple. I just want Steve. Yeah, for now. Now, all the girls start crying at the same time. I can't believe it. Oh, my God. You know what? And I know you girls get all emotional when it comes to fucking weddings, okay? But guys that are watching here, and women, you know this to be true, okay? So I know I'm going to piss you off right now. Okay, especially if you're sitting here watching this with your fiance. But I'm going to tell him what you're not going to tell him, okay? Sorry, you can hate me all you want, but I'm about to do it. Guys, get ready for this, okay? If you're watching. Women want the wedding. They don't want the marriage. Sorry, it's the truth. Marriage is hard work, but a wedding is a status, okay? It's an event. And unlike a marriage, a wedding doesn't last theoretically for the rest of your life, okay? Okay, women want the wedding. They don't necessarily want the marriage. That's the truth, all right? Why do you think it's always about them? It's never about you. The wedding has never been about the groom, ever. You show up, your family pays for everything, you get the ring, that's about it. Everything else is she does it, because it's not about you. It's never been about you. And unfortunately, especially in America, it's not the only wedding she's gonna have. Okay. You're probably not her first marriage, and you might not be her last if it is. So, just hey, honest God, truth, man. These numbers are real. Okay, this is America in 2022. Unfortunately, that's the way it is here. Okay, all right. Now, so all the girls start crying, and Miranda's like, "This is exactly what I don't want. No tears." And then she gets up and puts some money on the table, and she goes, "And Samantha, I expected more from you," because they're all crying, including Samantha, who's totally anti fucking marriage, and she's crying too. All right. Meanwhile, Harry and Charlotte do some more product placement because this show's all about product placement. They go to some place called what's it called? Tasty Delight, which I don't think it's around anymore, but I think I kind of remember it. It was fake ice cream. It was supposed to be a healthy alternative to ice cream. It tastes just like ice cream. You'll never know the difference, but you do know the difference. I think that's why they went out of business. But they must have given the producers some money. The show was always shamelessly plugging products all the fucking time on the show. Okay, Barney's, Manolo Blahniks, all sorts of shit. Okay, this show did it. Okay, they shamelessly promoted shit, and even today in 2022, they're still fucking doing it. I mean, they're basically doing commercials for the fucking alternative for KY. Okay, in episodes of And Just Like Crap. Okay, I mean, they never stopped. Okay, they're still doing product placement on the show, and they're doing it on purpose. Well, Harry and Charlotte are leaving a Tasty Delight fake ice cream place, and he's not eating anything, but she's eating it. Okay, so they're walking down the street, and she's eating. I don't know what the fascination is on the show with food, but if you'll notice, every fucking episode, the girls are eating. You see them eating, and usually they're talking to each other and eating at the same time. That happens every fucking episode. I don't know why that is. Why they can't fucking talk without eating. I don't know why they have to be eating every time they're talking. It makes no fucking sense. Because they're always talking with their mouths full. They're always talking with food in their mouth, and it's just, to me, that's just gross. But this episode does. I mean, they do it every fucking episode. They're always eating. There's this big fascination with food. You don't see this on other shows. This fascination with food. Okay, these women are fascinated with food. Okay, they're always talking about food. They're always eating food and talking to each other and talking about the food while they're eating it. Okay, that's every episode. Okay, just pointing that out there. Okay, like that's on purpose. That's the theme of this series. That's every episode. It's always been that way. Okay, you don't see that on a guy show. Okay. If they're eating, that's because they're having dinner during the scene. It's not because let's focus on the food. Let's talk about the food. And do you like it too? That kind of bullshit. No, that's very feminine. All right, so Harry and Charlotte, they're walking out of there, and Charlotte's the only one who's actually eating the fake ice cream. And she explains to Alex, she explains to Harry what Alec did, writing the song and all that shit, feeding her the strawberries, And Charlotte's like, "Oh, this is so good. God, it's so good. You have to try some here." See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like the obsession the show has with food. It makes no sense to me. You have to try some. Doesn't that taste just like butter pecan? What show would ever do this? This isn't a cooking show. Anyway, Harry's like, "Okay, yeah, I can pretend this whipped stuff is the real thing. This whipped air is the real thing." And Charlotte's like, "It's so Victorian and romantic. People don't do this anymore." Harry's like, I can be romantic." She's like, "I know, of course you can, honey. I know. You take me for Tasty Delight fake ice cream every night." Harry's like, "Don't humor me, Charlotte. Romance isn't just for foreigners, You know what, Charlotte? I'm going to take you out for a romantic night on the town. Just for you. And then they walk away. What I'm thinking about when I watch this scene is he tells her, "I'm going to take you out on a romantic night on the town, Charlotte. Just you and me." Well, what I'm thinking is, okay, well, what the fuck is she doing for you? What is she fucking doing for you? You're going to go out of your way to take her out, to take her out on a very romantic, that means you're going to put some planning involved in this. You're not just going to go out. You're going to go someplace special. You're going to do some special things for her to show her you're romantic, right? Now, Harry, what I want to know is, what are you getting out of it? What is she going to do for you that's going to be special? Exactly. Nothing. Nothing. Why do you have to prove yourself to your wife every fucking day? Why do you have to prove that she married the right guy every day? Okay, nobody can do that. Nobody knows how to do that. Nobody should have to do that. Okay? You're not supposed to qualify your relationship every fucking day. Okay? That makes no sense to me. Okay? The reason Harry is doing this is because he felt bad because she was talking about how romantic Alex was being with Carrie, that it made him feel insecure. Maybe I'm not being romantic enough. Maybe I need to do some more romantic stuff. Why? Why? What are you going to get out of it? What is she going to do for you? If you're going to put all this effort into that, what is she going to do for you? Nothing. She ain't going to do nothing for you. You've already married her. You already put a ring on it. So what can she do for you? What's she going to do? Eat out your asshole? I'm pretty sure she's already done that. And the only reason I bring that up is because she admitted it in an episode that she actually she ate out her last husband's asshole. This is a girl that in the first season refused to give a blowjob. Okay? But she has no problem eating out an asshole. Okay? Tossing a salad. Okay? And if she hasn't done that for you and you already married her, then you're in bigger trouble than I thought. Okay? All right. So yeah, it makes no sense to me. I can understand him wanting to do a gesture for his wife. Okay, but not from a position of insecurity. I'm not being romantic enough, so I need to fix it. No. You're not going to get anything out of it. If you're going to do something special for her, she needs to do something special for you. Okay, that's fair. Okay, you can't keep qualifying yourself to her every fucking day. Is what I'm talking about. Okay, that's bullshit. That's simp behavior. Okay, and that's going to lead you right to the fucking divorce court. Okay, but you should already know this. You're a divorce attorney, right? Right. Okay, so that's going on here. Meanwhile, Miranda and Steve are walking down the street. They got a lot of shopping bags. They've been going shopping all day. These huge shopping bags that are full. And they're walking down the street. And they're talking about how they, and by they, I mean just Miranda, should keep their wedding personal and low-key. Okay, that's what they're talking about. Which, in other words, Miranda wants it to be personal and low-key. And Steve's just going to go along with whatever she wants. Because he's a simp. Okay, he has no say-so in this wedding. Okay, her shopping bag, one of her shopping bags breaks. So she has crouched down, picked stuff up. As she notices she's crouched in front of a community garden. Okay, which is not cheesy, but it's not romantic either. It's not, it's kind of like, low key, and she likes it. So I'm pretty sure they're going to pick this little community garden as a place to have their wedding. Okay. Meanwhile, the girls try to go wedding gift shopping for Miranda. So it's just Samantha, Charlotte, and Carrie there. Okay. And Charlotte sees this nice little, I think it's a vase or dish or something. And she said, look at this. Doesn't this look nice? And the girl's like, hey, listen, Miranda already said she doesn't want anything fancy, nothing special. Okay. Nothing like that. She just wants it low key. She wants it very humble. Okay. She doesn't want to make a big deal out of this wedding. She doesn't want this to be like a typical wedding that we usually have on the show. Okay. She wants it to be just like very, humble. Okay. And Charlotte's like, okay, well, how about I just fucking get her a fucking stapler and a brown paper bag and put some dog shit on it, okay? How would that be okay? Would that be humble enough for her? And Carrie's like, okay, I guess we'll get the dishes. Okay, all right. So that's going to end my review of this episode for right now. This is part one. The end of part one. I'll be back in part two, and we'll finish this episode. Thank you for watching this long, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.